William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now. If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood? The flower's dying. It needs water. Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
Sorry. There's nothing here.
Some of the patients won't last the night without them. Honestly, sir, I'm beside myself.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way then. Thank you, nurse. I cannot enter. Scowl voices in the garden. I should investigate. If they were to find somebody... to the infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain. This sickness moves faster than influenza. This key will surely grant me access to the basement. Balls of Mars, fortifiers. As popular as they are ineffective. But they do contain iron tartrate, and that might prove itself useful. These scowls feed from corpses and the husks of animals. They're not after blood. Mr. Connor's injuries don't match the report. The chest was originally opened to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps? Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest work, but I think it was successful. Signs of internal bleeding. So, Dr. Tippett's anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then he tried to operate on him again. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked. It's locked, all right. be so ferocious. I'm not sure I can defeat them without becoming stronger. To drink blood is so tempting. It's locked, all right. It's locked, all right. It's locked, all right.
Don't worry, sir. I'll be back in
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
How long have you been a nurse?
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
You're right. When dealing with such a terrible disease, one must remain humble. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try our best.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
How would you describe the situation?
It's serious.
You must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
Yes, nurse.
You've worked your first miracle, Doctor. Now, this patient here needs immediate treatment.
Duty calls. When the storm has passed, I'll show you how to mix the remedy yourself with the same basic ingredients.
Many thanks, Doctor. When you've finished, you ought to report to Dr. Swansea in his office. He's been looking for you. Seemed pressing. Dr. Reed, may I help you?
What can you tell me about our patients here at Pembroke?
This hospital was founded to help the East End poor and needy. But since the war and the quarantine, we've had all manner of folk.
Can you be more specific?
Well, veterans, the elderly, dock workers. We even have a few mental patients. If there's space, we take them.
What can you tell me about the epidemic, Nurse Crane? I've been out of touch since I've come back to England.
Everyday folk don't know how bad it is. The papers certainly won't tell them. Not as long as the war is raging on, anyway.
News on the front stated that the Spanish flu was under control, at least in Britain.
It seemed to be for a while, but that was only last summer. It returned with a vengeance just over a month ago.
Well, Dr. Swansea certainly has confidence in your abilities. Are you in charge of the nursing staff?
Not in an official capacity, but the Pembroke doesn't always work above board, so to speak.
What about medical protocols?
Dr. Reed, we don't have the money and resources here at the Pembroke like they do in the West End. We do what we can.
For how long have you been working here, Nurse Crane?
I first volunteered at the Pembroke in 1911, a few months after Dr. Swansea was appointed.
And before you arrived here?
If you must know, this was my first job.
You always knew the words to calm the children.
I'll see you later, Nurse Crane.
Always knew the words to calm the children, Helen.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No,
Really? Why are you here, then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Don't waste your time with me.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
Don't waste your time with me.
What can you tell me about yourself?
Not much.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
What can you...
No.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes. Thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Dr. Reed, may I help you?
Well, Dr. Swan...
Not in an...
How is the duty roster organized?
Everybody works until they can't. If there's time, they'll eat a meal and shed a silent tear.
I'll see you later, Nurse Crane. Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm new here.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reed. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war, and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything, and it's getting worse every day.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reed.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
Are you really smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
Give me just 1 second, you guys. My puppy got sick. I'm gonna have it pause for maybe 2 or 3 minutes so I can clean this up. Alright, I'm back, you guys. I apologize for that minor setback. Like I said, I had to pick up some dog throw up because my puppy got sick. Thank you guys.
Since you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
It sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing here. I escaped through the hospital's garden, but I lost my wallet when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital? That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
Goodbye, Milton.
It's safer here than anywhere else in the East End.
The patients are not fools. They know we are overwhelmed by this horrifying epidemic.
Good evening, nurse. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Did he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I'll just have to deal with this unexpected notoriety.
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swansea's primary subject of research. He is convinced it is the future.
I'm not familiar with all the staff yet. Perhaps you could help me.
Brilliant professionals, most of them. Dr. Swansea has a gift for recruiting talent.
Most of them? Is there a problem I should know about, nurse?
It would be inappropriate for me to speak ill of a colleague.
Nurse Brannigan, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
No. I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
Is there anyone that stands out?
Well, I have never met someone as dedicated as Dr. Tippett's. He should be a standard for us all here. If only he were younger.
Why should his age be a problem?
I guess it's fair to say he's always pushing himself to the limits. He just doesn't know when to stop and get some rest.
How are things here?
Not good, to say the least. We're struggling against an invisible enemy, more lethal than any bullet from a gun. It's hard, Doctor.
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but how do we beat an invisible killer? Some nurses have already resigned.
An invisible enemy? Quite a poetic term for a disease, especially from a nurse.
Sorry, Doctor. These last few weeks have been exhausting. We could all do with a good night's sleep.
Tell me what Dr. Tippett did. I know his mistake caused a patient's death.
If I had not covered up his error, Dr. Tippett would have been fired from this hospital. I could not let that happen.
You can't allow your emotions to dictate your conduct concerning patients, Nurse Brannigan.
Look around you, Dr. Reed. Do you really think we can afford to lose a brilliant practitioner like Dr. Tippett's in our situation?
To clear Dr. Tippett's name must be the decision of Dr. Swansea. You can't take matters into your own hands.
I respect Dr. Swansea's authority and management, but he's no idea what happens here on a daily basis. I did what I had to do.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Surely I can endure another night.
It's safer here than anywhere else in the East End.
Good evening, sir.
So it is true. The famous Dr. Reed has joined us. I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Actually, yes. We met once before, at the Rockefeller University in New York.
Dr. Tippett, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor Carell in his research about coronary bypasses. He had nothing but praise for you.
He was also very confident about your future. And look at you now. Eminent surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
What is the Pembroke Hospital situation? And please, speak freely.
This hospital is not exactly the best of London. I'm sure you are used to working in a better environment.
It's more than enough. In any case, the personnel of a hospital are much more important to me than the building.
Don't be misled by appearances, Dr. Reed. This hospital does not lack talented people. It just lacks hope.
What can you tell me about the staff in the hospital?
Some are really good, and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no time for slander. I prefer to focus on the positive character traits.
Any opinion about the management?
I don't always agree with Dr. Swansea's reserve, but I must admit he does all he can to keep this facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator. I just wish he would get out of his office down again.
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with. A clever and cheerful woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man, she would be a damn fine practitioner.
You're exhausting yourself, Corcoran. Maybe you should think about preserving your strength.
No. We must keep on healing all those poor souls. We are the last rampart before chaos. Once more, unto the breach.
You've nothing to prove, Dr. Tippett, to anybody. And we all praise your experience. Please, have some rest.
I am perfectly fine, and I am not too old for this job.
Corcoran, I want you to tell me about Mr. Connor. How did he die? What happened?
He was my patient. He died because of my mistake. That's the blunt truth.
What was the nature of the mistake?
It was a twofold error. My diagnosis was wrong, and the administered dosage was too strong.
Who was this patient?
I don't know. Some sick man from the docks, maybe a fisherman. I had no time to talk with him. No one claimed a body.
Why not stop practicing?
Are you mad? I killed that man, I admit it, and it won't happen again. I have saved so many lives since then.
I will cover for you, Dr. Tippett, by keeping what happened to Mr. Connor to myself.
I don't know what to say, actually. I can't exactly force you to become my accomplice.
You didn't force me. This is my decision to make. I believe you're still of use to the hospital, considering the situation.
Then I can make you this promise. As soon as the epidemic is eradicated, I will resign.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett. Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, Sora, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the dockers' trade union. The wet boot boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long. You know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint. Not even criminals.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks, and I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest, and then I can go back to the people who need me.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later. Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
It was such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Damn. The pain.
Good evening, sir.
I
Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of me blood. And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much more fun than the real one.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel so attached to Mr. Elwood? Why him?
I'm not sure, Doctor. I think we have a bond of some sort. We've both suffered so much. He's the only mortal I find interesting.
Would you say you and Mr. Elwood Ah, romantically involved.
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul. Even though he disguises it. But I am not the woman he needs. No, for I am a vampire, Doctor.
Do you plan to make him a vampire too?
Of course not. How could I inflict my curse on anybody else? I'm not that cruel, Doctor.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Time has lost its effect on me.
Daily routine.
But the suffering continues. I wish I could be sick again. Feeling blood boil with the fever.
Please, Jonathan, come in. Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea, but my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
It may seem strange, but your words have brought me some comfort here.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now you are so much more than a brilliant physician. And please, call me Edgar.
There is no need to apologize, Edgar. You offered me sanctuary when I had none.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors. Unfortunately, our main donor has found herself in a bit of a bind. Now, if you could help her out...
A spokesman or politician is what you need. That's not my calling. And until I come to understand what has happened to me, I require discretion.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan. Lady Ashbury has recently received rather indelicate correspondence that, if revealed, would jeopardize her position.
And you would like me to eradicate this threat?
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly near the tents outside, tending the sick. You can't miss her. Look for someone impossibly delicate.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of trouble Lady Ashbury is in.
flu took my dear wife, Emily. I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough. Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
Your words are kind, the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet Lady of Mercy.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. It's a pleasure to see you again. You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment to Pembroke Hospital.
You're a the lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
Apologies. You've taken me by surprise. I'm very happy to see you.
The pleasure is mine, Doctor.
I hope you're more disposed to answer my questions now.
You must have countless questions, but our rather urgent matter first. Swansea has explained. My cover, if you prefer, has been compromised.
Have any of the patients given you trouble?
These poor souls have so little left to live for. I do my best to ease their pain.
The world would be a better place if it were cared for by women like you.
You make me blush. I am simply a necessary evil.
Pardon my boldness, your ladyship, but I have questions concerning this condition we share.
As a newborn, your hunger for answers is rivaled only by your thirst for blood. But the questions need wait.
I'm a scientist. My trade is in the deciphering of mysteries, and I need information to feed my mind.
I will gladly answer every question you have, but first, prove yourself capable of resolving my predicament without eating the culprit.
Dr. Swansea has commissioned me to be your agent in this matter. You could start by explaining what's amiss.
These past insufferable weeks, I've been the victim of extortion. I've made a first payment, but the blackmailer grows greedy. I must refuse his most recent demands.
What are your expectations? Please be precise.
As the newly appointed surgeon of this hospital, you are in an excellent position to ask innocent questions and deftly learn the identity of my blackmailer.
If we're dealing with an ordinary criminal, surely you've the means to deal with it yourself, if I may.
As immortal tradition doth dictate, all fangs and hypnotic eyes ablaze, the blood would run like a river. That's what I hope to avoid. Violence has a tendency to spiral out of control.
Who would be so foolish as to threaten you? A kindred spirit.
Even if it were the case, and I highly doubt it, a vampire would have asked for something more valuable than money. My suspicions lean toward a patient, or their family.
Please continue. Every detail is essential. I'm your man.
My embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed only by my shame at having put the hospital at risk. The threat from our anonymous scoundrel is clear. A list of dates. My visits coinciding with the dates of suspicious patient deaths due to massive blood loss.
I'll take care of it. Do you know where I should start?
If that was the case, I'd settle the matter myself. You could talk to our local gossip, Harriet Jones. Not a pin drops here without her hearing about it.
I'll meet that woman now.
My life, as others know, is in your hands, Dr. Reed. I'm sure of your discretion, but I do fear your powers of persuasion will be put to the test. When this is resolved, I'll be your obligé. I'll answer all questions in regards of your condition.
Last summer's epidemic was different.
I wish I could be sick again. Feel my blood boil with the fever.
What? What is this? Who are you? Get out of my room.
There's no need for alarm, madam. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon.
Preposterous. Dr. Reed, you say? I don't want some bumbling intern. Where's Dr. Swansea?
Please, calm down, madam. I assure you that I am highly qualified. I'm just back from war duty.
How brave. Threatening an old defenseless woman. You know how long I've been a patient here? You've picked the wrong fight. I'm Harriet Jones.
Harriet Jones? Indeed. I've been meaning to have a chat with you. You know what goes on here better than any other patient, I gather.
Oh, better than any patient, nurse or doctor. I've seen so many vile undertakings.
I heard there have been some despicable goings-on. Was there a case of blackmail?
Blackmail? Wait. You're investigating something. This isn't a social call. One of those incompetent cunts slit a poor sod's vein.
If I didn't know better, Miss Jones, I'd be inclined to say you enjoy this type of idle gossip.
God's honest truth, Doctor. It's just the way it is here. Most of these bitches would let you freeze to death before getting you a blanket.
You seem to know more about the goings-on here than anyone else. Beware, Miss Jones, in case suspicion should fall on you.
That's it. Blame the old and infirm. I see those little bitches' greedy little eyes. Just waiting for me to pop off they are.
I assure you, madam, this is not an investigation into a possible medical error.
Debauchery, then? Nurses Crane, Hawkins, Brannigans, whores, all of them. They can't keep their legs shut. I've seen them scratching slutty sores.
Really? Well, if you have irrefutable proof, I'll not have the staff behaving in such a manner here.
This is your business, Doctor, not mine. But I swear one of the nurses is cavorting with some man on hospital hours.
Thank you for your time, Miss Jones. You've given me something to go on. See you on the next round. The patients and staff might know something. I'll start my investigation with them. Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
What can you tell me about the strange man visiting one of the nurses during her shift?
Let me guess. You spoke with that old shrew, Harriet Jones. Do not pay attention to her, Doctor. She's full of fanciful tales.
No matter how you feel about her, Miss Jones deserves our help.
Who says I don't care for her? Hate is what keeps that old crone alive.
She could have been telling the truth about the mysterious man.
That old witch will end up in hell soon enough. Who cares if a nurse finds some happiness where she can?
What can you tell me about the strange...
Let me guess. You spoke with that old shrew, Harriet Jones. Do not pay attention to her, Doctor. She's full of fanciful tales.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
If only I were young again.
It's safer here than anywhere else in the East End.
What must I do? What must I do? This isn't even my neighborhood. We've dodged death so many times. Oswald, you can't just die like this.
Please, sir. I need help bad.
What's going on?
I'm Blight, sir. Newton Blight. I've lost my mate. Can't find him anywhere.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed from the Pembroke Hospital. Please, calm down and give me more details.
Oswald and myself were both infantry, sir. We were en route for the hospital, but... well, we had a disagreement. And Oswald ran off towards the canal.
How long have you been searching for him?
I can't go there. Too many rats by the water. Fucking rats. Can't stand them since the war, sir. Can't stand them at all.
Don't be ashamed, Mr. Blight. Many soldiers who survived the trenches suffer from musophobia. I'll see what I can do for your friend. What can you tell me about yourself?
I'm Oswald's best friend. We served in the same regiment, sir. We've taken care of each other since we came back from the front.
What can you tell me about your friend?
His name is Oswald Thatcher. We survived the war together. Oswald is nervous and quite fragile since we came back from the war.
This is a dangerous part of town. What are you doing here?
We were looking for the Pembroke Hospital. We both need help. Treatment, I mean. To get some sleep. Just need to feel better, sir.
Where was your friend the last time you saw him?
He went down by the canal. He didn't want to go to the hospital. I think he went to the sewers on purpose. So I couldn't go after him.
I have all the information I need for now. If I find anything out about your friend, I'll let you know as soon as I can.
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Good evening, Mr. Cox.
Dr. Reed. Still working at night, I see. I like that.
And why is that?
People who don't sleep at night always seem more alive to me. More interesting, one way or another.
Do you ever think about that poor fellow I saw you push in the water?
The wound he gave me will make sure I don't forget him. Still fucking hurts. Boss had cut me good.
That man was determined to murder you. You almost died.
What a surprise. The first time I met him, he nearly shit himself. Fucking coward. I guess revenge gives you balls.
What did he want? Revenge?
I recently had to kill his brother. Poor arsehole thought it would be easy to return the favour.
Only the strongest survive, then? Survival at all costs. Is that all you think about?
I'm the toughest bastard you'll ever meet, Dr. Reed. And I don't give a fuck what you think of me.
How is your hospitalization going, Mr. Cox?
This is a shitty place with shitty staff. But as long as I'm treated all right, I'll be fine.
What's wrong with the Pembroke staff?
That bastard you sent to bring me here, Milton. I thought he was going to break all my bones before I reached my bed.
I see. Any other smart comments?
The nurses aren't too ugly. Especially that foxy one, Nurse Crane. Pretty brunette, tough attitude, all like that.
What's wrong with the hospital?
Come on, Dr. Reed. The place is a dump. Smelly, sad, and dirty.
But you're alive thanks to the efforts and dedication of the staff here, aren't you?
What are you expecting, a medal? I thought that saving lives was just part of the job. Must be an unsatisfactory profession at this time, I'm sure.
Have you heard of any underhand dealings going on in the hospital?
Blackmail? That's not my style. Too risky. The black market, though. Now that's where the money is.
How long do you think you can escape the law, Clay?
I know this city like the back of my hand, Doc. I know its streets, who to pay, who to avoid, and who to bully. I won't get caught.
The police may be slow, but they will find you eventually.
Well, how come you didn't turn me in then? Nah, Doc. I figure you have something to hide so you can't ask the coppers for help.
How long do you think you can escape the law, Clay?
I know this city like the back of my hand, Doc. I know its streets, who to pay, who to avoid, and who to bully. I won't get caught.
The police may be slow, but they will find you.
Well, how come you didn't...
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
I've never seen so many people dying at the same time.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Do you know if any of the hospital staff have criminal backgrounds?
The people who work here all come from very different backgrounds, Doctor. Just like the patients.
Have you seen a strange man visiting any of the nurses here?
I've never heard of such a thing, Doctor.
Have you...
I've never...
Why does Dr. Tippett's claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Pembroke years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Cold will be my death.
You're sure you don't come back with me?
Nah, I ought to see someone at the hospital.
Be careful. You look so bad they may keep you as a patient.
Fuck 'em. I don't like hospitals. Or doctors.
Well then, when you go back to Whitechapel, you may find this useful.
What is it?
A pass for a free medical exam by the best nurse available. Just read it.
I don't read well, but thank you, I guess.
He's locked the door behind him. I need to find another way to follow him. This man has been savagely attacked and dragged to the floor.
Breathe! I can't breathe!
Are you injured, sir?
Help me get out of here. I need to get out.
I'm Dr. Reed, and I'd be glad to help you, but you must calm down first. Please, take a deep breath and tell me your name.
Okay. I'm Oswald Thatcher. Please, I need to get out.
Mr. Thatcher, your friend Newton sent me to help you. Do you remember him?
Yes, I do.
Good. Now leave this place and enjoy the cool night air. It's quite invigorating. I'm sure you'll feel better if you do. sort of creature is this? Here's what's left of him. Not a lot. Some voucher for a free checkup in Whitechapel. What is Nurse Crane up to? I really must find her.
Get them weapons ready! One of them!
It's locked.
It's locked.
Okay, guys, if you can give me just 1 second, I'm gonna take a restroom break. Also, your uptime is 1 hour and 49 minutes. I appreciate all the love you guys are showing for this game. Not even gonna lie to you. But I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I'll be right back. Alright guys, we are back. We're about to get back into action. Thank you guys for holding. Thank you.
I cannot enter.
Turn around, sir.
It's locked.
Stupid bitch! Shit! Doesn't like fire, does it? Over there! An inch!
It's locked, all right. It's locked. It's locked, all right. It's locked.
Sorry guys, I'm trying to reach Whitechapel. I have no idea how to get there.
I cannot enter. It's locked, all right.
It ain't human! Kill it! It's moving! Blood! Look at it! Got up! So see them fancy clothes? It's on the top! It's gone! I'll take it. Christ!
Hey, Doc.
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox. Whitechapel. This neighborhood is linked somehow to the kind Lady Ashbury's blackmail. First, let's find this Petrescu fellow.
Its effectiveness has been proven by many. Even the flu is no match for
What do you want? Leave me alone.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I'm looking for Nurse Dorothy Crane.
There is no Dorothy Crane here. Now goodbye.
I'm afraid this medical leaflet says the opposite, sir.
Really? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to close this door right now. Go bother someone else, Mr. Doctor.
To enter that house, I must discover who this man really is. Maybe I could start by observing what he's up to.
A strange man was at the door with a pass for our medical facility. I refused him entry.
Darius, how could you know he didn't need our help?
His clothes were too finely tailored to be from Whitechapel.
Perhaps just a friend of that stray poet who is always about.
Richard Nithercott? No, not of the same cloth, this man. I suspect some machination from that journalist.
Clayton Darby. Is he still asking questions?
Yes. I saw him drifting around St. Mary's Church. I swear he is tracking me just downwind.
I must talk to that journalist or the poet. They must know about Darius. Nearby the church they just mentioned.
Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off!
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reed, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
Have you heard of a nurse named Dorothy Crane? She's a colleague of mine, and is supposed to live around here.
Dorothy Crane? Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Welcome, sir. Please, take a browse of my wares.
I'm Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Doctor? Interesting. I'm Barrett Lewis. Usually I don't have time to waste with talk, but at this hour of the night I can hardly refuse.
How is business around here?
Business? I have no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
As a merchant, you see Whitechapel every day. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary recently?
Well, you mean besides the epidemic, the war, and all the usual crap? As long as I can remember, this part of town has been a bottomless pit, and no sign of the bottom yet.
Violence is increasing in the borough.
Yeah. A few nights ago, some blokes jumped me. Came out of one of the condemned workshops. Fever, madness, something like that.
Where did this happen? Why did you go there?
In the closed workshops nearby. I worked there as an apprentice in better days. Now I only go to find trinkets or tools. Too bad I was mugged, though. There was good money in that little box of loot I lost.
Have you been hurt?
No, but that's only because I ran like hell. Those men were raving lunatics, I tell you. Not even able to speak anymore, just screaming.
Have you heard of a nurse called Dorothy Crane?
Nurse Crane? So the bitch really is a nurse, then? Always thought she was just some crafty foreigner, that one.
So she's trying to help her fellow immigrants. Why would that make her a villain?
Dorothy Crane ain't even a real name. Something like Dorothea Craniu. Something like that. Came to England fleeing the war, I was told.
That doesn't explain why she irritates you so much.
Your precious Nurse Crane gives away medical supplies and prescriptions for free. I offered to sell it for a fair cut, but no. Miss Crane wanted to play the quiet saint.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis. Forgive my interruption.
Do not apologize, my son. Father Tobias Whitaker is always happy to teach mortals about the incoming Armageddon.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reed, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences, and most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
I am. But the answers I seek are based on facts, not superstition. What do you mean when you say...
Also,
quite a job.
You are...
Well, I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic. But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
Really? And what would be your answer to this biblical threat?
We must fight the disease before this legion outnumbers us. But not with scalpels and microscopes. No.
What is left then?
Cleansing fire.
Tell me, Tobias, what exactly is your plan concerning the cleansing of this city?
God will recognize his own. More than once this city has risen from the ashes, hardened and purified by the flames.
Fire is just the instinctive answer of a caveman facing something he does not understand. This is the 20th century.
Your lack of faith is predictable. But my task is to convince rational minds like yours to see the light. This is God's will.
You're mad and dangerous. You're nothing but a soulless butcher. A small-time Torquemada. The Savonarola of Whitechapel.
My son, if you think salvation is a free gift, go listen to the lies of that pompous fool, Joseph.
Joseph, a fool?
Vicar Larrabee of St. Mary's Church. While he continues preaching his fraudulent redemption, more and more people die in the streets.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that Nurse Crane you mentioned.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in her country. That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
Do you know Nurse Dor...
I don't like...
So, you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.
walls of your home will not protect you, for there is no protection against malevolence and trickery. You are blinded by your false faith, imprisoned by your daily routine, unable to see the true horror around you.
It's locked. Protection against malevolence and trickery.
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby, reporter.
Sorry, I'm new to Whitechapel. But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reed.
Dr. Reed, the famous surgeon. I'll gladly help if I'm able, sir.
I heard you're investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
I'm afraid one of the nurses from the Pembroke Hospital may be involved with unsavory activities.
Ah, could it be Dorothy Crane?
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine journalist, Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice, a man named Darius?
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious. Never goes out. Doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
He never goes out?
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
He has no relatives at all?
No. Except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott, who sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Where can I find this Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel, talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
I'm convinced there is more at work here than a simple epidemic.
Really? To be honest, I could say the same. Some of the sick I saw or heard of. My God, what happened to them?
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
I served in France. Our top priority must be to put an end to this butchery. This war must stop now.
Sir, streets are a battlefield too. An invisible and untold war is going on, and it must be stopped.
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
That's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.
Soon the time will come when you will all be judged for your sins. Even now, you look so pale, my lord. Would you like me The wars of men should not be your main concern. The disease upon us is not an accident of life.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed. I'd like to ask you a few questions. I know what you're thinking. A tall stranger who meets a girl in the street at night. It reeks of the penny dreadfuls. But I mean you no harm, truly. Melia, I know you work for Dorothy Crane. Please tell me about her secret dispensary. A stubborn and mute comrade. Nurse Crane and Darius Petrescu have been clever. I know you understand what I'm saying. Your silence has nothing to do with you being mute, does it? Very well. Goodbye then. The content of Darius' letter to his children could give me more leverage to enter. Hello again, miss. Very well. Goodbye, then. It's locked, all right.
Not a safe place. Right now, sir. Please, sir. I can't let you through. Stay back, beast! Snap it! The power of the Lord commands!
Against malevolence and trickery.
Morbidity can breathe its own beauty.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions.
Please be my guest. Although I may not be the best informant regarding this part of town, my words speak about that which the eyes cannot see.
Really? Are you an artist of some kind?
I'm a poet, sir. Richard Nethercott, at your service.
May I ask what you're doing at this hour of night, sir? Do you live here?
Not at all. I'm just enjoying the pleasure of a quiet walk. Though night talks are always preferable, if you ask me. Especially with strangers.
But are you not afraid of the epidemic?
Oh, why should I? I see some equity in the Spanish flu. No flesh should be saved, say the scriptures. Good or evil, rich or poor, all are equal in the eyes of the flu.
If you say so. But as a physician in a time of epidemic, I must caution you to avoid unnecessary exposure, sir.
Thank you, Doctor. But we both know the seeker of truth has to go boldly where the weak dare not.
What are your thoughts on the terrible situation in this city?
Terrible, you say? No. Of course, the death of so many innocents is a tragedy. But the scourge has not been all bad for the city. Oh, no, sir.
What are you talking about?
Do you remember London before the flu? Noisy, cacophonic, quiet nowhere to be found. And now, listen to this oddly peaceful silence.
Yes. The enjoyable silence of the grave. You have a unique perspective on the situation, I must admit.
Most people fail to understand my perspective. I don't blame them. But how could I call myself a poet if I veiled my feelings?
Are you aware that your life could be in danger in this part of town?
But this is where I must be to feel the real beat of the city. I had to come, see it for myself, alone.
I understand your need for solitude, but it's not safe around here.
I don't care. I don't have many friends, Doctor, and my family despises me.
If some misfortune came upon you, who would be here to help you?
Well, you, for a start, my dear Doctor.
Did you know the Mute Florist is a member of a secret society?
No, I didn't. But I thank you for this information, sir. For it only enriches the mystery surrounding the precious camellia.
Are you not curious? Is there not more you wish to know?
That girl has not an ounce of malice in her. Whatever she may be hiding, it's certain to be for the benefit of most, if not all.
I fear you are a hopeless romantic, Mr. Nethercott.
Guilty as charged, Dr. Reed.
Tell me, Mr. Nethercott, why seek inspiration in Whitechapel?
The place is not beautiful per se, but how to explain it? Stirring and challenging.
Do you not think it a little morbid?
On the contrary, sir. Whitechapel is full of life, full of beauty. Just like my dear muse, the wonderful Camellia.
What can you tell me about Camellia?
Not much. And that's the beauty of it. She can't speak, you know. She's a locked mystery who exhales kindness and sweetness.
And have you ever tried to learn more about her? Where she lives, how she survives, whom she may know?
Maybe I prefer she remains an enigma. Reality can be so dull, don't you think?
Perhaps you're just afraid to find out the truth about your muse.
One day, perhaps, I'll ask her to come with me. But will she still be my wild flower of Whitechapel if she moves uptown?
In what way, exactly?
The struggle by gaslight, the barren smiles, and the added hunger under the rain.
If you say so.
Such vibrant antagonism and vivid paradox, the stripped humanity raged across each street.
Vivid, of course, yes. And what about the poignant distress?
Oh yes, the poignant distress. You see what I mean, don't you? That's what I want to write about, and that's what Whitechapel is made of.
May I ask you a few questions about the district?
Extraordinary part of town, is it not? I'll be glad to help you, if I can.
I'm looking for Dorothy Crane, a nurse who lives in this vicinity.
Dorothy Crane. Oh, I love the name. The Crane of Whitechapel. Sounds very mysterious. But, sorry, no, never heard of her.
What can you tell me about an old man called Darius?
Darius Petrescu? Yes, I know him. At first, I thought he was only a small publisher. I invited him to publish my work, but his reaction was pretty clear.
Not interested in your talent?
Darius is an old political activist who takes delight in printing tracts and lampoons. Those communist activities only require mediocre writing skills.
I'll leave you alone, sir. Darius is a bit less of a mystery now. It should not be that difficult to incite him to let me in.
Morbidity can breathe its own beauty.
Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
Mr. Petrescu, just 1 minute, please.
You again? Go away.
Sir, wait. Stop this nonsense. I know Nurse Crane is here. Shall we speak man to man, you and I?
All right. Speak up.
Don't you see we're on the same side? We fight to help the poor, sick, and abandoned.
I'm nothing like you, Mr. Doctor.
Yes, you are. You too believe in providing medical care without charge. You know what we have to sacrifice to make the world a better place.
I have to admit your words have conviction. All right, I'll let you see Dorothea. Don't make me regret this, though. If you want to talk to Dorothea, you must go across the courtyard and take the stairs.
We've not been formally introduced. May I ask your name and occupation, sir?
I am Darius Petrescu. I'm here to keep snitches and spies away from Dorothea. And I also run this little print shop.
So Dorothy's real name is not Crane?
Like myself and many people in this area. Dorothea is from occupied Romania. That's all you need to know.
She seems important to the community.
More than you can imagine. The West End does not want to hear of Whitechapel's misery. Dorothea is one of the few doing something about it.
Tell me everything you know about Camellia, the mute florist.
I do not believe in the afterlife, Doctor, but I'm almost convinced Camellia is an angel. She volunteered to give out our medical leaflets.
Who is she, really? Do you know where she's from?
She's not from around here, that's all we know. Camellia is not even her name. It's her favorite flower.
You say she has no close family?
Well, there's that awful poet who constantly follows her around like a lost puppy. A good man for sure, but a very poor writer.
Are you not worried for her safety?
She is as brave as she is tough, and clever too. If only I had met her when I was younger.
Are you in love with Camellia, Mr. Petrescu?
Don't be stupid. If I had met her when I was younger, we could have won our revolution.
How did you meet Nurse Crane, Darius? Why does she trust you?
I'm her oldest friend in England. Dorothea and I share many ideas about this country and about the country we left.
You mean occupied Romania, don't you? Even if not directly, I fought against your enemies.
Really? Then perhaps you have more in common with Dorothea than meets the eye, Dr. Reed.
I know you fought for your country when it was occupied, Darius. Tell me more about it.
I know my days are numbered, and I know I won't see my homeland again. But I fought for Romania all my life, and I will until my last breath.
But Romania escaped the grasp of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It's a free country again.
But it's not the country I fought for. My homeland is not appeased, Doctor. I still see a dark future ahead for my people.
Do you have any family left, Mr. Petrescu? Children or grandchildren?
Who knows? I have abandoned my people for so long, they might as well be dead. As dead as I am for them, I suppose.
Don't be embarrassed, sir. If you must know, my own father disappeared many years ago, and I forgave him.
It's quite awkward to talk about our families like this, but thank you, Dr. Reed. I appreciate your trust.
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu.
Control yourself. Calm. Calm. I need help.
What do we have here, nurse?
Patient Razvan Vasily. High fever running on 3 days. Complaints of dizziness, muscle aches, and head pain. Diagnosed with influenza.
Treatment?
Aspirin and salicin for the fever and discomfort. Liquids for dehydration, but he's having trouble keeping even water down.
Thank you, nurse. Anything else I should know?
He did lose consciousness this morning, but he's never had convulsions like these.
He's not convulsing, he's choking. He's not getting any air. Scalpel! Hand me that scalpel!
What can I do, Doctor?
I need to perform a tracheostomy. Short pipe. That rubber tube will do. We're going to cut a passage for air through the neck.
Yes, Doctor. He's breathing again, but he's coughing up blood.
Internal hemorrhaging. I need to make another incision into the chest cavity to drain the fluids from the lung. Prepare another tube.
A thoracostomy? Doctor, we've nothing to fight the infection. We need an aseptic environment.
Right then, Nurse Crane. What do you suggest we do?
I've no idea. I'm not the doctor.
Time is of the essence. We need to perform a thoracic drain.
Yes, Doctor. He's still bleeding, Doctor. I'm losing his pulse.
The drain must have punctured the intercostal artery. There's too much blood.
Are you all right, Doctor?
I can't see. I must first suture the artery. Find the wound. The source of the blood.
Needle and thread, Doctor.
Good. The stitches are holding. How's he doing?
We're losing him. We've lost his pulse. He's dying, Doctor!
A dose of epinephrine, now.
Yes, Doctor. We've lost the pulse. He's gone, Doctor.
Nurse, we did everything we could.
Truly? Everything you could? Is that how you'll report this in your log? Is this how the war went? Piling up one poor corpse beside the next?
This was not an influenza-induced seizure. I've never seen symptoms like these on the continent.
Neither have I. But the previous symptoms leading up to this attack were the same, indistinguishable from the epidemic.
No. There was something more vile in these reactions. Something primitive.
There have been numerous reports of mental breakdowns caused by the fever that accompanies the flu itself, Doctor.
Yes, but... I'd best take some samples of the blood for analysis.
I doubt you're here to test my bedside manners. I suspect it was more than intuition alone that led you to us. So, how might I be of service, Dr. Reed?
I've come to put an end to this insufferable blackmailing, Dorothy.
Doctor, you think your warnings scare me? I've stolen and plied, blackmailed and lied, but what else am I to do? I'm all these people have.
But why Lady Ashbury? Why her, of all people?
She's pristine and proper, all right. But that she-wolf in sheep's clothing murders the poor for sport. I have her where she belongs, and I'll milk her for all she's got.
Dr. Swansea is a sensible and honest man. He wouldn't have refused your friend's care at Pembroke.
It's easy for you to say, Doctor. These people cannot go to the police, nor to the hospital. They don't even speak English. They depend on me for everything.
So, the end justifies the means. Is that your defense?
I know you're kind, Doctor. Just another fine-heeled, silver-spooned gentleman who was given the world on a platter. You know nothing of poverty. Nothing of the shame, the hunger, the loneliness.
You've convinced me of the sincerity of your actions and their noble justifications. But all the same, blackmail is a crime, and it will stop, Nurse Crane.
So, are you going to turn me over to the authorities?
Listen very carefully, Dorothy. You will erase from your memory everything you pretend to know about Lady Ashbury and Pembroke Hospital.
Let that rich bitch off the hook over my dead
Nurse
body.
Crane, enough. Listen as if your life depended on every word. I know you've a generous heart who gives freely to those in need, but you shall walk away from the shadier streets of your business.
I will never abandon...
Dorothy, the discussion has come to a close. Your clandestine activities in the Resistance are over. Let it go.
I'll let it go. Yes. All gone.
I cannot enter. It's locked.
It's one of them! We have to stop it! A leech! A leech! Burn it, boys! Shit, that leech! Watch yourselves! There's one of ours!
Human blood. Whoever left these marks did so deliberately.
Kill it, boy! There's one of them. Christ, he's dead!
I would ask you to avert your eyes, sir. Or did you not know it was rude to stare?
I knew it.
Speak up, Dr. Reed. I like a man who speaks his mind.
Hiding your true appetites behind a facade of compassion. Bravo. Very clever indeed.
Spare me your sarcasm, Jonathan. You are but newly born in this world.
No need to apologize, my lady. I know exactly what you endure.
The situation is somewhat awkward nonetheless. I have not been observed sustaining myself for many decades. I have to say I'm a trifle embarrassed.
Anyway, I have concluded my inquiries concerning your blackmailer.
I see. Please excuse my agitated state. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't let anyone see me in this condition.
The case is closed, your ladyship. The person who took advantage of you has, shall we say, seen the error of her ways.
So who was it?
My lady, the blackmailer was dealt with using the utmost discretion. The culprit's identity is of no relevance.
Thank you, Jonathan. That is exactly what I needed from you. You have proven your loyalty, so, as a friend, please accept this small token of my appreciation.
Thank you, my lady.
If you have an inclination to learn more about vampires or your current situation, I will be glad to aid you in your quest for knowledge.
I bid you farewell, for now, my lady. I must quickly analyze the blood I took from Nurse Crane's patient. Razvan Vasily was infected by Spanish flu, but also has the highly unstable blood of the Scowls. Is the London vampire epidemic transmitted through the flu? I should talk to Dr. Swansea about it.
thank you guys for coming out today to this episode of Vampyr. I appreciate it. See you guys next time.